Today I want to show you something about sanding, and the reason I brought up Dick Markham is Dick Markham knows how to make an item very similar to this, and I kind of poo-pooed it at the time, like that wasn't a real turning tool, until I decided to get one. Now I don't own any stock, or I'm not a paid endorser of the sanding solution, but it's the one that I found that I could send off just the head and have it rebuilt for about 20 bucks. You get a brand new brass collet and 2 brand new bearings. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. This pot here has been sanded on the outside to 180 grit. And I can't tell the difference, except under harsh light, between 180 grit and then finer grits. But see, this pot has some problems on the top. I don't know if you can see the top, because it's sanded into the tears of the grain. And I didn't blow those out with a air compressor, just so y'all could see that. A lot of times you can just blow that stuff out on the zebra wood. A lot of times you can take an air compressor and just blow those pores open. If not, you can get you one of these and just go down finer and finer and finer, and eventually you'll get to where it's like glass. Maybe Brother Dick would bless us with plans or how to make those or something, because it is worth trying. It is worth trying. Passive sanding or lathe-powered sanding or inertial sanding, it's all the same thing. And I'll show you a little bit about how it works, and this is a 240 grit. Usually I sand over here in about 7 or 8 o'clock, but I'll pull it around here where you can see how it runs. That's pretty darn fast. As you get to the smaller diameter, it slows down a little bit.
And you're breathing that stuff.
Well, normally I have the door open and a fan right that goes right across me. But hopefully that'll settle out real quick. That'd be the last sanding I do. But that's how it runs. It works just as good on the inside as it does on the outside. There is a dead spot though, right in the center bottom of your vessel, where if you have this thing turned on edge, it will not cut that. You have to bridge it and power the back of it to make the front of it cut, or power the side of it to make the other side cut. Right in the very bottom. That's the only thing. These are supposedly spin balanced discs. I got these from Sanding Solution. Not the Sanding Solution, Sanding Glove. This is called the Sanding Solution, and they are over on the internet. I think it's www.sandingglove.com. If you just Google Sanding Glove, you probably come up with it.
That's on the last sheet of the handout.
Oh, is it?
Yes, sir. Look at the last 2 sheets of the handout. I printed from the company that sells them, and it tells you how it works, and then you have to go online to find what it costs.
It's pretty pricey, and that's the reason I bought that for so long. It's just, but it is remarkable in what it will do. There's a man here who said he's looked at every piece of work that I've bought and not found a sanding scratch on any of it. So that's pretty good endorsement from somebody that just looks at my stuff. The disc that you could buy for it, I got these from the Sanding Glove. These are ceramic, and they last about 3 times as long as aluminum oxide. Let's start these little ones coming around, coming back to the table here. And so, you'll notice that one disc is spongy and the corner of it moves. The other disc is hard, and that's for a reason. you want to put your 80 grit and your 120 grit on this solid vacuum, because the media that's in between will take the abuse, the torque that is produced from 80 and 120. So, and when you get that one out, there's a little Allen screw right here that you can take that out and actually physically switch the disc. Now, this is a great deal, and you know, with a smaller disc I could probably start sanding inside, but I have not finished this bowl on the inside. Stuff like this for years. Just hold it like that. And that did okay as long as you keep the paper moving, because it makes deep scratches. And this is even heavier grit. This is a Z80. And this is a J-Flex P120. So there's quite a difference in the grit. And I would encourage you, when you try this thing, to run every grit. Start with 80. Move to 120, then 180, then 220 or 240, 320, 400, and then 600. The rule is on sandpaper, double the grit that you just used, like 80 grit, that'd be 120, right? 80 and 80,
you divide the number in half and then add it to the original number.
Yeah. So in other words, if you're sanding with 80 grit, double that is 160. So the next grit that we've got that's below 160 is 120. And same thing with 120. Double that and that's 240. Well, 180 is less than 240, so go to 180. And go through all of the grits. And you might stop after you get up to 180 or 240 and give a careful look around your vessel and see if there's any problems, any knots or anything. Like there's a big old knot. Fortunately, it's smoothed off pretty easy. The wood turning tool didn't want to touch it. What I have here is an angle drill. It's a Makita model 191296. And if you'll email me, I'll repeat that. But it's a variable speed. And notice it's been used almost to the point of being used up. And it's pretty well dished. What you can do is find a spot that's got torn grain or a knot or just anything that the self-powered sander will not do well on, and you can sand it. Sand it down to get all the scratches out of it, and then feather it. And even if you're going an eighth of an inch deep to get rid of the torn grain, by the time you feather that out, and the time you finish that bowl, you'll be the only one that knows that that's been gouged out. Any questions? Yes, sir?
Do you ever put, I'm still brand new at this finishing thing, do you put sanding sealer on it? Does that help anything when you're doing sanding?
Usually, my usual procedure is to use 1 pound cut shellac, which is sanding sealer.
Right.
I just spray it all over and wipe it on and get it good and saturated inside and out and let it dry. And then I kind of buff it off a little bit and go forward with that, because the rule on shellac is shellac sticks to anything and anything will stick to shellac. So it's pretty good product. I order the shellac flakes and dissolve them in alcohol, and that way I know I've got a 1 pound cut. You could go to the hardware store and get 2 pound cut sanding sealer. It's super blonde, and you can cut it 50-50 with alcohol, denatured ethyl alcohol or methyl alcohol. And then you're sure you've got a 1 pound cut. The alcohol seems to carry the shellac deeper into the wood than any other finish. So we've covered sanding over the outside. It works just as well on the outside as it does on the inside. I didn't bring an open bowl because I didn't have one. But you just start at the rim and go in, just back and forth. There's a little bit of a learning curve to using this, but it's not real steep. And the thing performs really well. You know, you can put 80 grit on this and gouge out a spot to a pretty good sized hole. But then I'd like to encourage you to go with the grits, even if you're ordering paper by the box from
Clean sport.
Clean Sport. I ordered paper like this for years from Clean Sport. And it comes all the way from 60 or 50 or 60 grit, all the way up to 400, 500, 600. And you never know for sure what you're going to get with Clean Sport. So it's all heavy back paper like this. There's no, it's not cheap sandpaper, and it lasts a long time. I waited almost too long to turn this vessel, because when I measured the moisture content in it, it was 14%. So it doesn't have far to go to get really dry. Any questions? This is going to be a short demo. Yes, sir.
Tom, do you use those clean spores for serrated edges when you're sanding?
I bought some of those and tried them out, and they work really nice.
Do you
But
recommend that over what we're seeing there coming from sanding gloves?
well, those that I tried were aluminum oxide, and they wore out fairly quick compared to this ceramic stuff. The ceramic stuff stays sharp for a long time, and it does a fine job. The discs that I had were aluminum oxide, and they worked real well, but they didn't last near as long. I mean, you get done with one set of discs from 80 all the way up to 600, and several of them wore slap out. Yes, sir.
Well, and also those can be washed, or, you know, if they fill up with, say, shellac,
Yeah.
they don't sand very well, but you can blow out some, and you can also put it in alcohol.
Yeah, you can take a wire brush too and
Yeah.
brush it out. The discs that I buy and use most are from Clean Sport. I bought a couple of new heads for this thing. That's another thing about this, is you take this head off and send it back to the sanding solution, or the sanding glove. They'll rebuild it with a brand new phosphor bronze collet and 2 bearings for about $20. And that's worth the money. Now, Mr. Markham, I don't know what his system actually uses and how it works. Maybe it's got a magnet that holds it in. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Instead of having to crimp this down so far?
Yeah. I have used that thing a long time.
Yeah.
I haven't been doing that kind of work.
Well, practically everything I do gets touched with a little bit of this. Some of it coming off spindle work doesn't get, maybe steel wool a little bit. Yes,
Now,
sir.
I went down and got an angle grinder and cut the bottom end of it off and took the handle off of it and slid it, or made a thing and slid it down inside it. It works just pretty near as well as that.
Yeah,
It's about $12.
well, that's a good deal. They have an angle drill that they sell over at Harbor Freight. And I wore the first one out in about 6 months. And the second one, grinding on it, I decided, well, I'll just break down and get me one of these. And I haven't regretted it at all, because you can go through the grits, and I'll guarantee you'll have it smooth as a baby's bottom. This one's still rough, because I haven't gone through all the grits on it. But if you have another question, finish, tools.
Do you have to articulate it a certain way to do the inside, or do you even mess with the inside?
Oh, I turn sand the inside just as well. I don't have an open bowl, but pretending this is open and the edge of it's right here, just start in. It won't run very well if you have the disc flat and in the middle. You have to come off the top edge or the bottom edge, and you can switch as you go down. If you don't like the way it's doing going down, you can always switch this way. And that's what I would do on this, is come up probably this way, come to the top, and then come down like this on there. And that's my habit. I usually turn the outside fairly complete before I try to mess with the inside at all.
You finish the outside tongue before you start sanding and finishing the inside, or not?
Do I do what to the
Put the
outside?
finish on the outside before you start on the
No.
inside?
No. I wait until everything is just,
Finish at the same
until I
time.
can't see a scratch anywhere, and then finish the inside and the outside, because another rule of wood is what you do to one side, you should also do on the other side. And most of my bowls and things have finish all the way down on the inside. Even this will have finish
I realize
down on the
that's
inside,
technology,
because
but why didn't they put it so it controls?
I can articulate that in such a way as to get a 2-inch disc in and go through all the grits. Yes, sir.
When do you make the decision, or better yet, when do you power sand and when do you use that device you've got there? Why do you use one over the other?
And the question is when do I switch from power sanding to lathe powered sanding? I'll look at the outside and see if there's any bad spots. I mean, like this knot. This knot was sanded proud because the tool just would not cut the knot very well. Well, I saw that and I power sanded that. And
But
then
do you routinely, other than doing specific, like that knot, for instance?
oh, do I power
Do
sand
you
routinely?
power sand, why would you power sand over using the device you have routinely? Is there an advantage to one over the other?
Well, with power sanding, you can stay in one spot. Of course, you could do almost anything with this that you could do with the power sanding, except sand the spot while you're stopped. That's the only difference. The discs are not that expensive. And if
What does one of those things run, Tom? What's the approximate cost of that?
$130, something like that. Of course, you get the extension handle and the other handle, and then you could sand all the way down to, I think, probably 30 inches with it inside. Question?
Tom, when you said you was sanding the scratches out of the outside, are you, is the bowl turning when you power sand it like that, or you just have it stop there or sand it?
Well, usually if it's just one bad spot, I'll power sand it while it's still. If I've got a bad spot, torn grain all the way around, I'll power sand it.
Yeah.
And then I'll pick up with this
Yeah,
and blend everything back together.
I've done that like that before there, but I was sanding too much up because they have a wave in it.
Yeah.
But then you have to come back and power sand that out, right?
Well, a lot of times I don't, because somebody who picks that bowl up will not notice it. You'll be the only one that notices it.
Okay. It's not that big a deal.
No.
I see, go ahead.
This knot that's standing up is a big deal, because a customer can feel it if they can see it. And I may let this crack a little more and fill this with turquoise dust, because that's the first thing that sells is mesquite with little turquoise dust. And of course, this is just a big limb off an oak tree is what this is.
James Johnson at the SWAT one asked Buddy Compton why he put turquoise in his bowl and things like that. He said because it sells.
Yes, sir. If you add turquoise to something, especially mesquite, it will sell. I guarantee that.
Thank you.
You know, I get lots of questions about that too. I don't see any turquoise on your table. I don't usually turn really crappy bad wood. It may have a spot in it like that. Leo Solnick said, you know, some of the crappiest looking wood makes the best looking turner.
This takes a little work there.
Yeah. And that's what I started on, was firewood. If you start on firewood, you're kind of hesitant to buy a nice big chunk of nice wood from somebody. You almost want to seal it off and set it where you can see it. It's so rare if you turn it to firewood. Yes, sir.
I think the advantage to using what you're using is that you can't get a big drill down inside the bowls. And also, you didn't say that you can, that's got a gooseneck on it there, you can
Yes, sir.
get it at a certain angle
You can articulate it here. I
right there.
tried to break this loose a while ago, and apparently I haven't adjusted it in a long time. But you can take this and swing it all the way and make your face like that.
So you can get it up in there where you need it.
And then you can sand the top side of the turtle on the inside.
Well, the smaller ones.
Yeah, the 2-inch will just, when it stops, you put your 2-inch in, get your articulation right and everything, then start it up and sand it. And then stop it before you take it out, because you might get some damage coming out if you're spinning it fast. More questions? Yes, sir?
Now, Tom, whenever you're turning a bowl like that, to do the inside, do you drill out a hole on the inside so that you have a place to go?
I do. I try to, this is a 2-inch hole here.
Okay.
And usually after I'm done with it, it's maybe an 1/8 of an inch bigger because of sanding.
That way you get your tool.
You get your tool articulated in there and get it faced back around where we'll sand the top side of the inside. Or, you know, if you didn't want to sand the inside of a closed vessel like this, just pour your little black paint in there, or tint some shellac, black, and just make it black on the inside. A lot of turners do that. But to me, the pro way to do it is to do the inside just like you do the outside. Leave no marks. This one, when I get it finished, will be turned around and stuck on mandrel, probably maple, that's a little bigger than 2 inches. And I'll put my center needle in and finish up the bottom and sand it. And it'll be a done deal. All I have to do is put finish. Yes, sir, you got it.
Got a question back here, Tom.
Yes.
Okay, so when you embed turquoise into the wood, how do you go about smoothing the turquoise since it's a pretty hard rock?
Mostly turquoise is harder than almost any wood. And I will take a drill and such and go over the turquoise pieces with this until it gets pretty smooth.
I got you.
Usually I put turquoise in with epoxy or medium thickness.
So you use like water clear epoxy or?
Clear epoxy. You know, you can get it at the hobby store.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And you say you use medium density, super glue?
Yeah, I do, unless the crack is really small. And in that case, it probably wouldn't hold any turquoise anyway. I've been known to mix up fine sanding dust and rub all these cracks and fill them up, and then come back and sand it. And you know, little Elmer's glue, little sanding dust, it works great. Any more secrets or anything that you can think of that I might help you to?
Tom, did you say you sanded the inside of that through that little hole?
Yes.
That's what I thought you said.
Yeah, because it's 2 inch, and these things are 2 inch.
Yeah.
Put it in there with it stopped, and hold it loose, and then start it up and do your sanding.
Right, yeah.
Then stop it before you take it out. You know, this wood turning is inherently risky. So be cautious. Learn to use the sander on the inside of a bowl first before you get in close tops like that.
Kind of get the feel of it better.
Yeah, kind of know what it's supposed to feel like, what it's supposed to sound like when it's sanded. Because it's a distinctive pull or tug when you're using that thing. And, you know, you can tune your ear to that and say, that's doing what I want to do on the outside. Then you can take that same disc and do the inside.
Is that fairly easy to change the articulation with it in there? Obviously, as you move around, you'd have to change that. Or do you have to bring it out and change it?
Well, what I would do is loosen this Allen screw right here under my finger.
So
Put that down. Because this articulated piece here is not adjustable. Then I would come and bend this articulation down a little more until I had something that was.
does that rotate?
It will rotate and it will lean back and forth. It's got quite a bit.
No, I mean the joint. Will the joint rotate? No. Okay.
Try to keep all the load on the paper and use the bearings this way. But it is possible to articulate this thing where you can sand the top edge of the inside pretty easily. As far as cost, it's been a while since I bought one of these. I thought they were outrageously expensive when I bought mine. But it works well. Like I said, I don't have any interest in the sanding glove. I'm not a paid endorser or anything. This sanding solution, I watched Bruce Holder, who's the sand pot at Swap, and this has been several years ago. And even with 240 paper, the vessel that he had, because he demonstrated several times, the vessel he had was probably no more than a 1/16 of an inch. And so be careful when it gets down that close, because after so many demonstrations, he had worn the inside and the outside to a very thin wall. Questions? Questions about anything? Yes, sir.
One of my biggest problems when I'm sanding is I'll go through the progression of grips and I will notice a previous grip, scratches from a previous grip. I consistently miss those. Do you have any idea how I can stop it?
Oh, I've done that many times.
It drives me nuts.
Many times. You'll get it maybe up to 240 or 320, and you'll see those deep scratches in there. The only thing to do is go back to about 120 and grind it again. That's the only way.
Are there any techniques to help me see those previous scratches sooner?
Go over it well with the 80 and 120. And blow it off with a compressor, look at it, and see where the scratches are. The scratches on this will be pretty much with the grain, except on the end grain. And you know, there's no way to sand end grain with the grain, with a plank-wise mounted object. I say plank-wise because the grain runs perpendicular to the blade. Now when the grain runs parallel to the grain, then your spindle will work. You can turn into the end grain of a blank, but it's hard. It's really, you better have some good cutting tools and a lot of time.
Well,
Yes, sir.
the direction of your light will help you to spot those as well if you can
Yes.
get light
I
directed
mentioned that
at another
in the
angle.
newsletter article that I've done, you know, if you can get some oblique light and shine down. This is good lighting, but it's not near good enough to see scratches. You need to have your light. So imagine you're standing out in the country, you're looking at a plowed field, you see all these furrows, and they're running north and south. Look at the tops of those little ditches, and you'll see the shadow that it casts on the wall of the ditch behind it. You want to do the same thing with light on your vessel, is look at it with an oblique light to really spot the scratches.
Would a black light help that?
I don't think so. I think just regular visible spectrum light would be real good.
Sunlight's the best.
Yeah, natural light is the best. If you can
I'm
get,
taking sprayed water on them out and take them outside, and them scratches, they just stand out like this. And just take a pencil and just kind of just mark it there so you know where they have things and just stand there.
yeah, I've done that. You know, on an unusual piece, on a hard piece, you can take and wipe it with mineral spirits if you're going to use a mineral spirit-based finish, or if you're going to use a water-based finish, or you've got time to let it thoroughly dry, you can use water, and we'll do the same thing to raise the grain and let you see those scratches.
A lot of these teachers at school, if you take a wood turning or some kind of wood class at school, they take even furniture like that, you take, spray water on it right there, and it raises those fibers up there so you can sand them off smooth. And when you do that, you stake it out in sunlight, and it'll let you know if there's any scratches in there. I've always put a sealer on mine, and as soon as I put that sealer on, it'll jump up.
Yeah.
You miss me, you know, you got to sand all that off, so I take water and put on mine, but you don't have to worry about sanding that sealer off and getting it in the sandpaper there, and that's a waste of sandpaper.
Well, that's the reason I use 1 pound cut shellac, because it will bring up any mark that's on it anywhere.
And it sands back out really.
Yeah, and just sand off really easy. Just get you a little bit of this and fold it in thirds. Tear that off there, fold that in thirds, and you can do a lot better with a small piece of sandpaper that way. Plus, you're not wasting sandpaper. When that side gets dirty and clogged and everything, just unfold it to a fresh piece. And then there's another fresh. You've got 3 fresh pieces. Yes. Yes.
Do you prefer fabric back abrasive to paper back abrasive?
I do. I do. I really like the heavyweight.
Holds up better.
It does. This is J-Flex, and it's probably the most flexible that Klingspor sells, is the J-Flex. There may be some lighter grits, or not grits, but weight fabric. But this holds up. This will hold up until every grit is broken off the top. This is aluminum oxide, and it's friable. In other words, it breaks. And just gets, seems like finer and finer. But you can use up every bit of your sandpaper that way and get your money's worth.
How about foam back sandpaper?
I've used a little bit of that, and it's pretty darn good.
You like it better if you had a preference, would you like it better than I mean, it's expensive to buy it. I buy it every year at SWAT, but I'm just wondering whether I'm wasting my money or not as far as the end product is concerned.
If you're going to hand sand something, the foam back paper is really, really nice. If you're going to use it on the lathe, you're going to go through a lot of it. And there, she finally gave up.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
When you talk about 1 pound, 2 pound
Yes,
slack,
play.
1 pound of slack per gallon, 1 pound of slack per quart.
A pound of dry flakes to 1 gallon of alcohol
I got bed
will give you a 1 pound cut. Usually what you buy at the store is 3 pound cut. It's considerably thicker. It's almost syrupy compared to the 1 pound cut. And if you can't find the 2 pound
Make me throw all my stuff away.
blonde shellac at the store, you can go up and just get you know, regular 3-pound cut.
It's,
One cup of that to 2 cups of alcohol. And that way you get your 1 pound cut. I buy the flakes. And that's usually the freshest you can get.
I cleanse most stuff.
Everclear smells a lot better than all the other alcohol.
And you can drink what you don't use.
Yes, you can.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Okay, when I was teaching woodworking, we were using flat material. And when Tom is talking about oblique light, you hold it up to a light surface and you look almost just about at that angle. And you can see every scratch that just busts out. I knew when I had made converts of students, when they would be holding their wood up to the light like this, looking for scratches, because, you know, a lot of times I would say, you know, sanding is the price we pay for excellence.
Nobody likes to do sanding.
Yeah, it's grunt work, but it's what makes the difference between the sheep and the goats.
Calluses, I've still got calluses on the end of my fingers from moving it on the wood like that. Well, sir, I think if there are no more questions, I'm just about done.
Is there a certain light that you can use for that? I noticed that I've got one of these little LED lights.
Yep. You could probably take the head of that
And I find it works pretty well on stuff that I'm looking at on the lathe. Better than the stuff that...
looking at the light obliquely down here, and it's got a fairly even scratch pattern. And then up here, you can show it like this and look back. See, I see a blemish. There's a crack. There's a little bit of a sanding swirl. And you won't see the long scratches around the object. You'll see little bits of scratches like that because of that disc turning so fast. See, there's something that you could see that's actually a blemish that I might fill. There's another. That's just a dark spot in the wood and a crack. And you know, here's multiple cracks that I would just go ahead and let this thing crack all it wants to crack and see if I could fill it with turquoise dust.